Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. I decided to wake up really quickly today and make a video before my son wakes up. So let's see if this happens, because he's usually very sensitive and he feels it when I'm gone, and he might wake up very soon. So the chances of that are very likely. So let's see how far we can get today. So anyways, guys, I was going to discuss clutter, okay, clutter, and I was going to say that clutter is a symptom of a trauma, okay, of a past trauma. Okay, so as you guys know, right? As within, so without, right? And so if you are experiencing chaos internally, right, then all of this is going to manifest in your external environment, right? And so if you're sorry, I'm a little bit sick too, because I think of the changes in weather, and because it's gotten so cold, like all of a sudden, right? So anyways, but like I know a lot of people are going through this too right now, so forgive me for that. But anyway, so basically, right, clutter, if you are if you are experiencing clutter on internal clutter, if your thoughts are disorganized, right, if your thoughts are disorganized, if you are, if you're not clearing your energy every single day, then sooner or later you're going to see this play out in your physical reality too. Okay, and so that's why, for example, it's important to do mind dumping exercises, right? And so so I'm so sorry. I'll get back to you. Yeah, basically I'm sicker than I realized, but it's okay. I'm back. Anyway, so a clutter can of course be caused by other things, right? Such as if you have a depression, right? When you're depressed, once again, right, your internal world is dark, right? And you don't feel like doing anything, right? It gives you extremely low energy, right? And so when you're depressed, you don't feel like doing anything, right? And so of course your outer world is not going to be sparkly and shiny, right? And it's not going to reflect your inner world, right? And so depression is another another sign of another symptom, right? So it doesn't clutter doesn't always mean that it's a symptom of it doesn't sorry clutter doesn't always mean that you've experienced trauma. Okay, so there can be other causes behind it, right? Such as depression, anxiety, chronic pain, right? Grief also. Okay, so if you've recently lost someone, right, too, then you're probably not going to feel like cleaning, right? You're just going to be so down that you will just not have energy to clean, right? And so this is okay too. But what else was I going to say? Oh yes, and so the most extreme form of clutter, right, is hoarding, okay? And people, I know that my mom, she had a problem with hoarding, okay? And so our house was okay, but when it came to things like her clothes, right? She had a large walk-in closet, right? And so when you would walk into that closet, it was so filled. It was just stuffed with things, stuffed, bags, shoes, everything. Like there was so much clothes that I couldn't even breathe in there, to be honest with you. Every time I walked in, I was like, whoa, there was just too much stuff, right? And so hoarding is actually a psychological disorder, right? And so um, you know it's like an extreme form of cluttering, right? And so and people hoard because they want to feel, or people they clutter their space because of different things, right? First of all, it's like a form of protection, right? And so it's like their way of protecting themselves, right? By surrounding themselves with clutter, okay? Then also it gives them like a sense of comfort too, and so it's like for them it's comfort and familiarity, right? And so it helps the survivor feel connected, to his trauma and its associated emotions, okay? And so and then there's the third reason, right, on why people clutter, and that's actually, it's like it serves as a physical reminder, okay? So once again, it provides comfort and familiarity, right? And so it kind of helps them feel safe and in control, okay? And so this is this is why people clutter for the most part, okay? So but there's a strong clutter has been strongly linked to anxiety, depression, and being unfocused, okay? And of course for a reason, right? Once again, one time I will tell you this, right? And so if someone is experiencing something like this, if someone is really messy, right, then there can be a reason behind why that is, So don't just assume that they're automatically a messy person, right? Because sometimes it's more than that. It goes deeper, right? And so one thing that I will highly recommend for you not to do, okay, is try to get rid of that clutter for that person, okay? Because once again, for all the reasons that I just mentioned, okay, guys, I made this mistake once, okay, and I made this mistake once, right, with my mom, and so I decided, like, of course, I was a teenager, I didn't know any better, right? But I decided to help her, right? And I just wanted to like organize our living room, I wanted to clean everything up, right? And so that was a huge mistake because my mom, I did this, right? And of course I didn't know any of this, until like pretty recently, right? But my mom, when I cleaned everything up, as soon as she walked into the house, she was just completely freaked out. It looked like she couldn't breathe. It looked like she was just completely, she was just shocked, and I thought that I was doing a good thing, right? But someone who has a psychological disorder, right, or someone who has deeper psychological reasons for clutter, right, for cluttering their space, they need to get to the bottom of this by going within, right, and like maybe, I don't know, they can basically see a therapist, right, or talk to a trusted friend, or basically they can do different exercises in order to get to the bottom of their in order to get to the root problem, right? And so you can't just solve it by cleaning up their space, okay? Because they're going to freak out and they're gonna lash out, okay? And so my mom, of course, she freaked out and she lashed out at me, and she wanted everything back the way that it was, okay? So I had to put everything back the way that it was because of what I just mentioned, right? So don't try to help the other individual by cleaning up, okay? Also, you will also notice that when you heal your trauma, right, or as you're going through healing, you're going to get more organized with everything, okay? So you're going to get more organized with your thoughts, right? You're going to get more organized with your your external environment, right? And so, um, that's the reason why also I like to keep my space really clean, and of course I'm trying to teach my Sunny, that, right? Because I know how important it is. I know it's important to keep a clean environment, because when your environment is clean, you can focus better. Your focus improves, okay, and you can you can do and accomplish a lot more, okay, and your mind will also kind of be clearer, right? And so when your surroundings are clear, right, when everything is neat and organized, it's like, think of a picture, right, like of a man or a woman meditating in a house, right? Like, what do you see around this person? It's probably like minimalism, right? Minimalism, you don't see too much, right? You don't see too many things. All you're seeing is just like maybe a couch, right, with some pillows, maybe a fluffy blanket, I don't know, right? And that's it, right? And not much else, okay? This person who is meditating is not surrounded by clutter. They're surrounded by nature, I don't know, and everything in their house is just minimal, right? There aren't too many things. And so this is how I also like to this is how I like to live too. I embraced minimalism, and I think it has so many different benefits, besides, because we're a society, especially in America, it's a society of consumerism, right? Consume, buy, right? Buy the things that you don't need, right? And so eventually, of course, your space, your place gets cluttered, right? And so before you know it, you can't focus, you're constantly distracted by all of that clutter, right? Remember, guys, everything is energy too, right? And so clutter is also energy, right? And so I always remember this, and so I try to kind of rotate my clothes, right? If there are things that I haven't worn in a long time, I just give them away, okay? And so over time, I've given away so much of my clothing, I've given away so many different things, and I have no regrets, because clothes you can't take with you, okay, when you die, when you go, right? And so things are just things. They're meant to be used as tools, right? And so to have too many things, it means to clutter your mind too, okay? And it's going to be a lot harder for you to focus on different tasks, right? And so there's that, right? And also, of course, clutter is, I believe, driven when it comes to like spirituality, right? Clutter is driven by certain demons too, okay? So if someone is demonically oppressed or possessed, they want to experience or see a completely disorganized, very dirty, filthy environment, okay? I have also an example of that, okay? So I have an example of that. I was in my town, right? One time, at some point, I wanted to start the cleanup, right? And so I just kind of like, I asked a question about a route that I should take, right? If anyone had any suggestions, right? And so this was like on my Facebook, right? And I don't really have Facebook. I started it just because I needed to ask a couple of things, right? And so anyways, but back to that, right? So I asked this question, and there were a lot of most of the comments were really, really good and supportive, right? And most people wanted that cleanup, right? But there were quite a few comments that started like lashing out at me, and telling me that I'm like a vegan, and a hippie vegan, right? Or some got kind of like personal, right? And some were like, oh, she's just trying to, like, this place is clean, there's no need to clean, And so certain people started lashing out, and I was like, wow, this is so strange, this is so interesting, right? Like, it's kind of like this, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, on a bigger scale, certain people are more comfortable in living in filthy environments, right? Just like they would be in their houses, that can also translate to outside, right? Also, like on the streets, right? And so, believe it or not, some people are comfortable in that. They want that. They want things to remain the same. They don't want others to clean up, you know. So this was like pretty apparent in the comments too, and I was pretty surprised. I was like, wow, like why would you attack a person that wants to clean up? Like that makes no sense, you know. To me, it makes no sense, but I understand the reasoning behind it, right? But once again, there can be a spiritual reason behind it too, right? And in this case, they could be oppressed, suppressed, or even possessed, okay, by dark entities, right? And so there's another reason, okay, and they don't even know it, of course, right? And so yeah, there's that. But the psychological response is, yeah, we just discussed it, right? Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video, okay? We were able to finish it without any interruptions, which is great. And I hope you guys are, I hope you have a good weekend, okay? Thank you so much for watching.